Welcome back to the Ash vs. Evil Dead podcast. Tonight we watched episode 8, Ashy, Slashy.
Ash versus the rest of the cast.
Ash versus the rest of the cast, which I guess is what it was, which, until the twisty twist. But, I quite liked that aspect of it. Certainly there were a lot of things wrong with this episode. But, one of the things I really liked about it was, they found a place to kind of trap people that wasn't like a cabin, but it still felt Evil Dead-esque, but it was a wider scope because it was an abandoned asylum, so there was lots of different rooms or things to face, and you had several elements that were kind of against them, you had Ash going after them, you had Baal, you had Deadites, you had evil puppets, so it felt like nowhere was really safe, and everyone kind of had somewhere to go with this.
There's, the aspects like that about the show, which are usually good, but then there's certain stories that are just getting annoying at this point.
You're talking about, like, the cheap deaths?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a triple threat in this one.
The sheriff was the one I thought there'd be more of a payoff to him being a minion of Baal, but
yeah.
I mean, I guess we're already done with Baal too.
I don't know if they are though, because there's 2 episodes left.
Not.
So, well, the sheriff death, I feel like his story is concluded. What they had of his story.
But
so
I don't feel like they went anywhere very much with him being under Baal's control.
Yeah.
All right, we set up at the beginning of this one that he brought Linda to the asylum. So it was really Linda Ash was talking to in the other one, which I felt seemed unnecessary considering most of what Ash was seeing was mindfuck stuff. Like, apparently he still needed real stand-ins, though.
Yeah, like, he could make people look like other people, so it seemed like that was just a weak excuse to get them involved with the story at that point.
Yeah, that was weird to me.
But what I was getting into with the sheriff seeming like the story is concluded there, it also was not a really great use of the story, which is the complaint that we've had with all of these. The reason that the deaths seem so cheap is that they don't go far enough with any of these stories to make you care. So anytime that there's a death on the show, like it doesn't mean anything, with the exception of the one at the end of this. But I guess we'll get into that when we get into that. But most of the characters that they set up, the supporting people for like the season, they're gonna die, and they don't do anything with them to make you care in the slightest. Not even in like a satisfying, like, they were a dick and they deserve to die kind of thing. You could do that too. It doesn't have to be sad. You just have to have some sort of reaction, and there's nothing. The sheriff's daughter and Linda's daughter getting killed, she just shows up and she's dead, feels so unfulfilled.
She's a deadite, yeah.
Yeah, well, she said she was dead.
Yeah, but I mean, she shows up as a deadite in this scene.
Yeah, so she was like killed off screen and then showed up and she's already dead. It's so unfulfilled because it seemed like they were setting up something with her and Pablo. And even if it's going to be like, ooh, this was cut short before anything could happen, they still didn't do enough with that to make that story even anything.
No, well, they didn't really have him react enough. He didn't even see it, did he?
He was
he
there,
was fighting with her, yeah.
Yeah.
I was blanking for a second, but yeah, he had to fight her. But yeah, he didn't really react at all about it, like he cared about her at all, so it was just...
Yeah,
It felt like, just sick of here's characters that seem like they're about to become supporting characters and then dead. And that's all the show's been doing, is just, hey, maybe these guys are eventually gonna go somewhere. Nope, they're dead. And you just keep cutting anything off to developing anyone else on the show, so it's old now.
Yeah. Well, the Pablo and the daughter, her name was Casey? Was that it?
I guess.
Do you remember? I don't know.
Died too
Whatever.
quick for me to remember her name.
Yeah, well, the thing between them didn't go anywhere. But it's interesting that they used her death well with Kelly. Because were you in the room at the time when that happened? You were left a little bit, but when she had to kill Casey by shooting her in the head.
Yes.
Yeah, she shoots her in the head, and then she says something to her about how she was a good kid and sorry she got mixed up in it. Like, she showed some sadness over the person, which is also an interesting thing in Evil Dead, to be sad about the person who's not really a main character having to kill them. I still do wonder, like, why they don't have to. They had Linda react too, and there was a good scene between her and Kelly where Kelly mentions it's really hard and it changes your life, and that was a good payoff to. She saw her parents die, so they did a better job with that than they did in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I know we talked about it before, but I still don't get it. Like, why don't they have to dismember the Deadites anymore? It's like shot in the head, and I guess they're gone.
It's weird.
In the movies, it had to be full dismemberment, and I realize that's kind of time consuming, but some sort of line about it or something might be nice.
Yeah. There's another thing I was thinking about in this one with her being possessed and them thinking, like, saying she's still in there. It kind of comes back to my complaint about Cheryl, too. Just, Ash mentioned in that one that, sometimes you can come back, because he's mentioning how he came back in Evil Dead 2, which I guess is just the sunlight or something.
Yeah, like it's a vampire drawn away by the sunlight.
There's no really good explanation for it, but we know there is something that happened that saved Ash, but never does, like, in desperate situations, like when he's faced with his sister and stuff, does he ever think of, like, man, I wish there's a way to cure her, like,
maybe
I came back, why can't I bring her back?
Maybe it's because she melted before, so she was pretty gone.
Yeah, but I mean, she magicked back, so I mean, who fucking knows? And just like we're saying, the episode confused us by acting like she was in there too. So
yeah, and having no payoff to that either.
Yeah, but I mean, it's thinking about it with that girl too. It's kind of like,
yeah,
there is apparently some way to come back from it, but it's only happened once, and we don't know how that worked, and we're not really going to talk about it in depth, though we'll mention it in passing.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why Casey had the line about dying, so that it's kind of like supernatural rules. Like, if the host is dead, pretty much it's fair game.
Yeah. They're already dead, I guess.
Yeah, so they kind of
Except for just confusing us with Cheryl and her doing things like reacting like she would rather than the Deadite.
Yeah, well, I don't know what the deal with that was. That was confusing.
Uh-huh.
What were some other things about this episode that were good? I liked the puppet fight with Kelly and the puppet. Like, they got down and dirty with that one. They were like shoving her face in piss and shit.
Yeah.
I liked when she first discovered it too, her reaction. I've seen some messed up things, but you are adorable. Some of the stuff.
Head off.
Yeah, and then the blood goes everywhere.
But that puppet was filled with blood.
Yeah. I love the weird rules to that puppet.
Uh-huh.
The stuff with Ash hunting them.
He managed to make that puppet that does all that, but he needs Linda there.
It didn't make any sense.
So weird. Didn't he have like a whole bunch of insane people there too?
Well, there was just the one lady that was like a crackhead and probably
Didn't
crazy.
Ash go to a common room once? Yeah, he did, and then he made a disturbance.
Yeah, why didn't they use some of them as expendable Deadites. Because I realize the reason that they set up these people and then kill them is because you need to have a Deadite to fight. But I think they need to, like, let go of this idea that the Deadites need to be established characters. Like, you can have throwaway Deadites and have people that you save either for important kills or just keep them around or something.
Yeah. You have to have them at least save some people, or else you're just turning into Supernatural, and it's
Yeah.
everyone dies.
And also, maybe they'll talk about this later, because they did have to keep the plot going, but, like, Linda's betrayal, basically, by going with this to save her daughter, there's no repercussions for that, and maybe she'll have some guilt or something later, but that was not addressed.
Yeah, whatever.
I thought the stuff with Ash chasing them down looked really cool. He had, like, this, like, straight jacket outfit going on with, like, action hair, and it was all kind of torn up strategically, and he, like, lights up the floor with his chainsaw. So that looked pretty cool.
You find out Ash is just acting too, so it's like, so Ash can act serious if he's pretending he's possessed.
Yeah, he can be serious if he wants to, but he chooses not to, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in this episode in particular, they're starting to find the niche for Ruby. Because, like, they've already in this season gone into good direction with her, I think, like having her become mortal and experience more emotions than, like, just tough chick or annoyed or whatever. But also they had some good moments with her and Pablo where she's trying to be nice or be honest with the situation and not being kind of aware of how this affects people. You know, she's like, oh yeah, I guess there's a strong chance that either way you're gonna die. Like, oh, okay, well, just being honest.
Yeah.
And I feel like that wasn't, well, like, I know that's what they intended. She wasn't trying to be mean with that. She was just, this is the situation here.
Yeah.
And her trying to interact with people as a human being is interesting. In retrospect, it was probably because they were just trying to make it sadder later, but that she was bonding. But it was still nice.
Well, at least gives her a moment too, because Pablo says like that you're becoming more like us all the time or something. Ruby continues to be probably the best character this season.
I mean, they are building up the supporting characters the best. I mean, better than they had. And she's the best. Pablo they've been building him up, but I feel like he's probably been shafted the most out of the main people. It doesn't really feel like it's enough. It kind of feels like all of his subplot, like with him becoming the book and stuff, were kind of like relegated to this main thing's going on, and then Pablo's got to deal with this over here, or we can't deal with this right now because we got this going on, and it doesn't. Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't feel like
mostly this season. Yeah, it's just been him dealing with the Necronomicon being part of him and stuff.
It feels like he's been a little disconnected from the others.
Yeah, he has been.
I
don't think he's gotten to do a whole lot. Like, he's gotten some things, but I mean, overall, not a whole lot this season.
Yeah, and then, of course, by the end of the episode, he fell in half.
Yeah.
Which I laughed at.
Yeah. Like, Ash reveals he was just I'm gonna kill you guys, to make Baal think that he had converted him. Messed with his head enough, but is really just to lure him into a room with Pablo as the book and, blow Baal up, I guess.
Yeah, it feels like that's a mislead for sure.
Yeah, because if that's the end of Baal, that'll be really disappointing.
That's a disappointing end. It could be that it was the end of Baal, but it's leading to something with the book or with Pablo, because I'm not entirely convinced that Pablo's done with. Yeah, even if
Yeah.
it might be that he's dead, or it might be the book puts him back together, or something. You know, that like he becomes a bigger bad than what Baal was, or something. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's they're leading into, because there's no way that would be the conclusion of that with like a couple episodes left, and then you don't
Yeah.
talk about those anymore. Like the main stories have to have something else.
Yeah. It feels like there's got to be something else because that can't be the end for him, or else again, that's really like what?
Yeah. So do you think like Pablo's gonna come back, or do you think that it's gonna be a big bad situation, or what do you think with that?
I think he'll somehow come back by the end.
Shoo shoo. Ash wants to. The other Ash wants to give her opinion on.
Oh, she wants them all dead.
Oh, of course she does. So I don't know. What are your feelings on this episode? Did you like it? Were you mixed? Did you dislike?
Mixed, because I like the element of them in the asylum and stuff, but certain story elements I thought were like, I wish, like, I don't know, I didn't like anything Baal really got to do in this one. I wish he felt a little more intimidating before they got him in that room, because he was really intimidating that police station one. But in this one, like, I don't know, just is mostly he didn't do too much till they got him in the room. Said, "Fooled you."
Yeah.
And he's like, ah.
Yeah, he didn't get to do as much, and Ash didn't get to do as much because he was mainly in the background for this one. Most of it was focusing on the other characters.
Yeah, they should have had like, I don't know, maybe some more of those patients or anything, just for fodder for Baal or something, just so you saw if they got too close to him, they were dead. Because
Yeah.
I'd like something like that. Because yeah, I just didn't get the urgency about him in this episode. Because like, there's one point where Linda gets thrown into him. All he does is throw her to the floor, and it just like I didn't want her to get killed off, but I thought that was really weak if she was in his grasp that she lived. So, you know,
Yeah. It was
I
scarier when
wish.
you had like Ruby interact with him, and then she was terrified of him. You know, it felt like, oh,
Yeah,
you're dead if you see this guy.
yeah. He only spared her because she amuses him. Like,
Mm.
even still, he knocked her out on his way out.
Yeah. I feel like they're going in a better direction with the main characters as far as like uh, how people would react to a situation, or trying to build things up a little bit. There's still work to be done, but if they
Hmm.
could continue like that, that would be great. I feel like now the main issue, if they kept this emotional level, is just time. It's just giving them the time, because oftentimes it'll be like it's moving too quickly, or dedicating too much time to other things to really build up what you want with the characters.
Yeah,
And so that's why it's nice with episodes like this. They give them scenes where they can just have moments or something.
yeah. Like, I wish, I guess, the episodes are at least a full hour if they're going to be that short season.
Yeah. I mean, I get that they want it to be fast paced for Evil Dead. They don't want to like drag it on, and they don't want to be like 22
Yeah, but
episode season with fillers. But it just needs that
well,
little bit of extra time to build things up, or keep characters around longer in the season. You know, they could have introduced them earlier, and then had more things with them. Even with half an hour and 10 episodes, you can do it. I just don't
mm-hmm.
know if they're distributing the time properly.
Yeah, you don't need filler, but just like have a whole planned arc and build characters up. Like Stranger Things did.
Yeah.
That was like perfect execution on something like that.
Yeah. You know, this season is better about like an overarching story than season 1 was, because it felt really disjointed. And it was like, we're going on a road trip, and then this will happen here, and this will happen here, and then we're getting to one end, but it was a little more disjointed than this, which was we got to get rid of Baal. There's the new big bad.
First season also just had Ruby and Amanda, and sometimes they barely did anything in an episode.
They use their characters really poorly, so Ruby is much better as a character now than she was then.
Oh yeah, she was doing that. She kept waiting for her to finally do something.
She makes a better anti-hero than she does villain, because even when she was being intimidating, it wasn't that great or memorable as a villain.
Yeah, at least she was doing something by the time that she revealed she was a villain.
Yeah, but even then
First
she was...
of the season is just kind of like...
Yeah. Well, she had some funny moments as a villain with, like, Ash is such an idiot, whatever, but a lot of it was like, I'm gonna do this and then summon my demons and kind of talk about stuff, or maybe I'll flit something away or something, you know, like, I don't know. It didn't feel like she was as much of a presence as a villain, but she's a more nuanced character now, so it's better. It's still dumb that they were like, oh, her last name is Nobi to throw you off. Just kidding, had nothing to do with anything. Oh, okay, cool, so that was just a reference for nothing? Whatever. Oh, you thought we were going somewhere with that? Just kidding. You thought we were going somewhere with this storyline? Nope, that's kind of their catchphrase.
They mentioned it, didn't they, and threw it away?
The Nobi
like,
thing?
didn't she say she used that last name or something?
I think she was just using it like as a lie, as a cover, to say that she was like her sister or something, and that's why it meant something. And it was to throw off the audience too, but I don't know about that one. Have we figured out yet what Ash's dad was talking about before he got run over? Is that not addressed yet?
No.
Oh. We'll see. Maybe that'll be like the bombshell at the end of the season. It'll like lead us into
Maybe his father's head will pop out of Pablo's torso and tell him the rest.
Hey, Ash!
I was just waiting in here.
But, you know, like, that's not out of the realm of possibility in the show like this, because what's really nice about this is it feels like they'll go there. They do a lot of weird-ass shit on this show, and sometimes it's like, what was that? But other times it's like, oh man, that was just... You wouldn't see that on any other show.
Yeah.
The over-the-top cartoon gore nature of it, you know. You would never in a million years think there'd be a show where they, like, shove the main character up a corpse's asshole, but they did.
Yeah.
Alright, well, final thoughts on the episode? What's going on in the show?
Very mixed. This is an episode where I got to see the next one, I guess, to really know my thoughts on this one, I guess. As a lead up, it's possible, like, at least with the ending with Baal and Pablo. It depends on where that goes, what I would ultimately think of this one. Mostly as disappointed, though, that they didn't go anywhere with Linda's daughter. Just had her be a Deadite and fodder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel pretty much the same. I did like the episode overall. It had some of the same issues this season has had, but it had some really great elements in it too. And we'll see what's in the store next time.
I guess.
Sorry, we're done. This is the end of the podcast.
Over.
Alright, see you guys.